How can I sound more natural when I speak English? Is a question we're often asked. Well, you could use some irreversible binomials when you speak English. We'll explain what they are, and you'll learn at least 12 of these expressions to make you sound more natural in this episode of
Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig.
Hello, I'm Craig.
Hi, I'm Reza.
With over 45 years of teaching between us, we're going to help you grow your grammar, vocalize your vocabulary, and perfect your pronunciation. How are you, Reza?
I'm very well, Craig. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. To begin this week, we have an audio message from Daniel Herrera, who asks what's happening with the Mansion Inglés website.
Hi Reza, hi Craig, I'm Daniel Herrera from El Salvador and I'm your number one fan, and I want to tell you that you are so important in my life because by you I learn a lot, and I'm sorry because I'm not subscribed. Is that I'm a boy about 50 years old who always listen your podcast, and I want to ask what's happening with the Cuaderno Inglés page. I always listen and answer everything that was there, but now they are not already be. I'm going to go for the next level, is the advance. The next week, please return the page. I'm very grateful with you, and I want to give the thanks for all you made for us.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you for listening to us on this podcast, and thank you for using the material and the resources and the courses and the listenings on the Mansion Inglés website. It's all there. We haven't removed anything, and I did send you an email. I have your email address, so I did send you an email to clarify this. It's all there, but things have been moved from one place to another place. So I did send you a link to the advanced listenings that you can find there. So yeah, we haven't removed anything. It's all there. If you want anything specific or anything special, please let me know and I'll tell you where to find it, and I'll send you the link. So again, that's mansioningles.com if you want courses, listening exercises, and any free material. Reza, any comments on Daniel's message?
It's a very good message, Daniel. Thank you. Although you did say something which I think we need to correct. You said that you've learned English. I think you said by you, but I think you mean to say through you or because of you. In other words, because Craig and I release the podcast and you listen to the podcast, that's how you learn. So you learn through us or because of us.
And you listen to us. Remember that preposition to with listening. And you also said, Danielle, thank you for all you have made of us. It will be better to say thank you for everything you've done for us. Be careful of the difference between make and do. Go back and listen to episode 244. That will clarify many collocations with the verbs make and do. Thank you, Danielle, for your message.
Thanks, Daniel. Okay, Craig, shall we get down to business? Irreversible binomials. What are they?
Irreversible binomials. That's a very linguistic term in the teaching profession. We use that sometimes. You also might see Siamese twins. Two words that have a fixed order. So two words that have a special order that doesn't change. And these words are joined together by a conjunction or a preposition. For example, Reza and Craig.
Yeah, it's Reza and Craig. You can't say Craig and Reza now,
well,
can you?
You could.
But not for the website. Sorry, not for the podcast. The podcast has to be Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig. It can't be changed now.
That's true. Aprender Inglés con Craig and Reza. No,
it doesn't work.
No,
doesn't work.
No va.
Although bear one thing in mind, in English, we tend to keep the best to last. So there's a reason why it's Reza and Craig at the end. The best is kept to last.
You're far too kind. There are many irreversible binomials. We're going to concentrate and focus on 12 here. And I'm sure you've heard of most of these. For example, number 1 is black and white. Black and white. One important thing to know is the pronunciation of and in the middle, because we don't usually say black and white, separating every word like this. We join the words together and very quickly we say black and white. So the and becomes black and white, black and white, black and white photographs, for example. Do you prefer black and white photographs or colour?
I have no preference. It depends on the theme or what the photographer is trying to represent.
Yeah, me too.
Are you a very black and white person, Craig?
What do you mean by that?
I mean that something's either right or it's wrong, in your opinion, and there's not much room for discussion. That's a black and white person.
Yes. No, I don't. I think I'm grey.
Uh-huh. The opposite of black and white.
Somewhere in the middle, grey.
We talk about the grey area.
The grey area in between. What about you? Are you black and white? I think it's very clear for you.
Not at all, no. No, I'm not even sure what nationality I am. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure what blood I've got running around inside me. So no, I'm not black and white at all. I'm brown and white, but that's just physically. But as a person, black and white, no.
Whenever you invite me to your flat to visit, I'm always very impressed at how neat and tidy it is.
Are you joking?
No.
Oh, God.
Everything is in its place. The books are very neat and tidy on the bookshelves. The clothes are all neat and tidy and put away in the cupboards. The kitchen is always very neat and tidy. What does neat and tidy mean?
Organized. Everything is where it should be, or everything has been put in a sensible place. Generally ordered.
So again, we wouldn't say tidy and neat. It doesn't, no suena, it doesn't sound right. So the expression or the irreversible binomial is neat and tidy. His flat is very neat and tidy. My desk is very neat and tidy. I like to keep things neat and tidy.
Craig, do you like to take life nice and easy?
I do. Yeah. I like to take my days as they come, one by one, nice and easy. What about you?
Yeah, me too. When I can.
Another example, I recently bought a new computer. I had my computer for 8 or 9 years and it started to slow down, get very slow. So I changed it. I bought a new one and I was a bit apprehensive to set it up. To set up means to put the computer in a situation where I can use it to make it work the way I like, to do it properly. But I was very surprised. It was nice and easy to set up. It was nice and easy to configure. Nice and easy.
No problems.
Safe and sound is our next example. And there's alliteration there, 2 S's, safe and sound. Now, this is something you might say to somebody if they're traveling in a dangerous place, or maybe you're worried about the traffic. You're worried about a possible accident. So you might say, hey, text me when you get home or phone me when you get home. Let me know that you've arrived safe and sound in one piece, en una pieza. Safe and sound.
Sano y salvo in Spanish. And it's the same in Spanish. You can't say salvo y sano. It's got to be sano y salvo. It's got to be that order, hasn't it? Well, it's the same in English. You can't change the order. Safe and sound.
And another expression that also has alliteration with 2 Ds, do or die. To do or die, to either have complete success in something or complete failure. Can you think of an example, Reza, with do or die?
Yes.
I've asked you because I can't.
Oh, can I? I shouldn't have said yes so quickly there. Imagine you want to start your own business and you've saved up money all your life, 20, 30 years of work, you've saved up your money, and you're going to put all of this money into opening this new business, and you really want to succeed. But who knows? With a new business, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It's do or die. If you're going to invest all your money, you could make a fortune back, but you might lose all your money and the company has to close. You just don't know. It's do or die.
It's a do or die situation. It's a critical, important situation. Yeah. By and large means on the whole. By and large. Generally speaking, I'm happy with my life here in Valencia, by and large. With the weather, the nice people, the good food, by and large, I'm happy here.
By and large, more men than women go to football matches. That's not always the case, it's true, but by and large it is, on the whole. So, yeah, there are exceptions, but in general, by and large.
Remember, all of these expressions sound very strange when you reverse the order. You wouldn't say large and by, just doesn't make sense. So it's by and large. Another example, pros and cons, the advantages and the disadvantages of something. Reza, what are the pros and cons of living in Belfast?
The pros are that you're never going to be too hot.
Or too dry.
Too dry, that's true. Also, you're always near pretty beautiful scenery. You never have to go too far to find some nice scenery. Also, depending on your personality, but if you like peace and quiet, it's very easy to find quiet spots.
That's another one, peace and quiet.
But the cons, well, the food isn't to everyone's taste, and it does rain a lot. So if you don't like the rain, you're not gonna like it. Yeah, that's what I would say.
What about the prices, the cost of living, how much things cost? Would you say that's a pro or a con?
A pro on the whole. Probably for Spanish people, it seems a little bit dear, but for people
By dear, you mean expensive?
Dear, expensive, yeah. Dear means expensive. But if you come from the south of England, you probably think Belfast is quite cheap. So it's all relative, I guess.
Well, I think you answered that question very, very well. You answered it short and sweet.
Yeah, I've said it all.
Sweet. If you make a speech, if you give a speech, and discurso, keep it short and sweet. Don't speak too long. Make it good. So to make something short in time and also good or sweet, another expression is short and sweet. Keep it short and sweet. Not too long and very good.
Craig, do you have any neighbours who smoke in the lift?
Oh, yes. Do you know what? I'm sick and tired of our neighbours smoking in the lift. It smells terrible when you go into the lift and somebody's been smoking in there. Sick and tired is another irreversible binomial.
So they do it a lot. How often does this happen?
Oh, every day.
Every day, and it's been happening for a long time.
It has, and we put signs up in the lift and they don't pay attention. Okay. Is there anything you're sick and tired of, especially where your building's concerned, where you live?
I'm sick and tired of people dropping rubbish in the stairwell, in the staircase. I just think it's totally unacceptable, but it's been happening now for years, and I'm sick and tired. I want it to stop.
More or less is another example. More or less, which means más o menos. Have you planned your lessons for this week?
I have. I've already done it, more or less. Not exactly, but more or less.
Have you corrected all your writings?
More or less.
Reza, I haven't asked you for a while. How are the plans going to do up your flat? If you're not a new listener, you may remember that that Reza is planning to do up his flat, which means hacer reforma. How are your plans going?
Well, I have been planning it for about a decade, for about 10 years. But can you believe it or not? It's about to happen any day.
Really?
We just have to sign the contract with the builders in the next couple of days. And sooner or later, it's going to happen. It is really going to happen. I don't know exactly when, but sooner or later, can you believe it?
Congratulations. So there's another example. Sooner or later, Reza will do up his flat.
Of course, the disadvantage is that I'll have no more peace and quiet once the building starts. There'll be noise and machinery, and that'll be the end of my peace and quiet.
Well, you can always come here and relax and get some peace and quiet.
Craig, everybody's heard of bread and butter. Pan y mantequilla. Who hasn't heard of that? And it tastes great.
And you wouldn't say butter and bread, would you?
Never say it that way, no. Bread and butter. But it has another meaning apart from the food. How might I use bread and butter in a metaphorical way, let's say?
Well, you could say that I do some audio editing. I sometimes edit podcasts for other people and they pay me some money, but I don't earn a lot of money doing that. My main job, where most of my income is from, is teaching English. So teaching English is my bread and butter. That's where most of my income is from.
El pan de cada día, I think they say in Spanish.
That's right. Yep.
But you only have bread. We got butter as well. We're lucky in English.
Bread and olive oil. There are other of these expressions related to food and drink. For example, gin and tonic. In Spanish, you just say gin tonic, but we have the and or the in the middle, so it's gin and tonic, gin and tonic. Ham and eggs is another common expression that have that order, the ham first, the egg second. I fancy some ham and eggs for breakfast.
And who hasn't heard of fish and chips?
Another one.
You can't say chips and fish. That just doesn't sound right. No. First, it's the fish. Fish and chips.
Tea and
That
biscuits.
order. Tea and biscuits. It's got to be that order.
Coffee and cake.
Oh, yeah. We're getting hungry again.
There's so many. There are so many.
Although there's a bit of a debate about one, Craig. I checked this out on internet.
Yeah.
And in British English, you would probably say, or not, what do you think? Cheese and ham sandwich or a ham and cheese sandwich?
Oh, I would say ham and cheese.
Oh, well, you see, in America, they quite often say cheese and ham.
Really?
It's not quite fixed. I read on internet people arguing about which one it should be. So there is a little bit of controversy about some of them.
Interesting. What would you say? Would you say ham and cheese?
Ham and cheese.
Yeah. Can I have a ham and cheese sandwich, please?
Yeah, but cheese and ham sounds all right as well.
Yeah.
Must be more typical in American English then.
Sounds much better than chips and fish.
Well, there are plenty more that we could mention, and I'm sure you could do a very long list in Spanish as well, but we haven't got time to do them all. Let me just mention one which uses a preposition, because our list of 12 have all been with conjunctions, black and white, more or less, and or. They are conjunctions, and the majority use conjunctions, but there are some with prepositions. For example, trial by jury. By is a preposition. Trial by jury. That means when a person has to go to court and a jury, un jurado, will decide their fate. So there are plenty more. We've written a few in the show notes, such as double or quits, back and forth, to and fro, ups and downs, highs and lows, back to basics, just as a few examples. But really, if you want to see more, you should go into the show notes and click on the link, and you'll see lots more.
Yes, there's a Wikipedia link in the show notes, which can be found at inglespodcast.com/249. You can have irreversible binomials with the same word. For example, step by step, little by little, which basically means the same thing. When you're learning English, Don't try to learn too much in one day or immediately. Just keep practicing, be consistent, and step by step, little by little, you will make progress. Can you think of any other of these that have the same word repeated, Fraser?
Yeah, there are plenty, and many of them are body parts. For example, face to face, arm in arm, on and on, ear to ear. Well, let's explain. Face to face, cara a cara. That's pretty obvious, isn't it? So
A face-to-face meeting.
face-to-face meeting, you're in the same room together.
Or I came face-to-face with my ex-girlfriend the other day.
Ooh,
That was scary.
scary, I bet. Arm in arm, well, your arms are joined together. Pretty obvious. Ear to ear. Let me give you an example of that. She smiled from ear to ear. Now, what's happening there? How many ears has she got? Well, she's just got 2 ears.
Not my ex-girlfriend.
She's got more than 2 ears or fewer.
She heard everything.
Okay. If you smile from ear to ear, that means it's a very big smile. So can you imagine that from your left ear to your right ear, all of that is one big smile? So you're smiling ear to ear. You can walk arm in arm. You can walk hand in hand. You can stand back to back. Or you can dance cheek to cheek if you want to get romantic.
So all in all, you can find more examples. There's another one, all in all, which is in resumen, I suppose, in conclusion, on the whole, all in all. You could say Reza's a decent bloke, all in all, despite his defects. Just joking.
Craig, so far we've looked at 2 words, sometimes different, such as trial by jury, or sometimes the same, such as hand in hand. Can we have more than 2 words?
Yes, you can have 3 words together. Now, they're called irreversible trinomials. Of course, tri meaning 3, and irreversible meaning they're usually, well, always in the same order. An example is lock, stock, and barrel. These are 3 parts of a gun: the lock, the stock, and the barrel of a gun. And the meaning is completely or totally or entirely, absolutely, thoroughly, utterly. So you could say, for example, I told him the lie and he accepted it. Lock, stock, and barrel. He accepted everything I said without a doubt. A very similar expression, which is also an irreversible trinomial, hook, line, and sinker. Now that's connected to fishing. The hook, el gancho, the line, and the sinker is the weight, el peso, that brings the hook to the bottom of the lake or the bottom of the river. So hook, line, and sinker has the same meaning. It's totally, utterly. For example, we told our boss that Netflix have offered to make Aprender Inglés con Reza y Craig a TV series, and she fell for it. She believed it. Hook, line, and sinker.
Well, why not, Craig? A lot of blood, sweat, and tears have gone into improving our listeners' English, eh? Why not make a podcast?
Blood, sweat, and tears? What does that mean?
Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of effort. Can you imagine from your body, blood, sweat, sudor, and tears, lágrimas? Imagine a lot of work. You've given everything. Craig and I have put blood, sweat, and tears into this podcast. We really have.
It's also quite a popular, is it folk or rock, American rock band from the 60s? Blood, Sweat, and Tears. If you Google it, you'll find them.
In fact, I used to be a fan years ago. Late 60s,
Late 60s.
70s, early 70s. A kind of rock pop fusion jazz band.
That's right.
It was weird, yeah. Quite good.
So sex, drugs, and rock and roll, another group of 3 words that are commonly found in that order. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Although Craig and I, we're no spring chickens.
What does that mean?
That means we're not young. No somos pollitos de primavera. We're no spring chickens. So a better irreversible binomial for us is probably tea and biscuits, I would say.
Well, it'd have to be 3. So maybe it would be not sex, drugs, and rock and roll, but tea, biscuits, and just a small piece of chocolate cake because I'm trying to lose weight.
Yeah, that's more our motto, I think.
Other trinomials include morning, noon, and night. For example, if you go to New York, you will notice that in New York City, the traffic never stops. Morning, noon, and night, which means for 24 hours a day. It's consistent, never stops. Morning, noon, and night.
Craig, imagine we were at an auction. That's subasta, an auction. And imagine we saw that they were bidding. That means saying, I'll pay 1,000. Oh, I'll pay 1,500. I'll pay 2,000. I'll pay 3,000. And eventually someone buys the product. What do they say in the auction?
They say, going, gone. Sold to the gentleman with the money at the back of the room for £2,000. Going, gone, which means it's sold.
It's sold.
No
yeah.
more bidding.
And it's always that irreversible trinomial. Going, so not happened yet. Then the past participle, gone. Now it's sold. And you can't go back. And they hit the hammer. Boom.
So if you use some of these expressions, your English will sound more natural. Why not choose 2 or 3 from the list we gave you and try to use them when you're speaking in English next time. Again, for a longer list, go to the webpage at inglespodcast.com/249 and you can see exactly how many there are. There are so many of these expressions in English. And now it's your turn to practice. Why don't you send us an audio message? You can do that at speakpipe.com/inglespodcast. And by email, Reza, how can they contact us?
You can get Craig at inglespodcast.com or me, belfastreza@gmail.com.
And if you're interested in our online courses, the website address is store.mansioningles.net.
Thanks as ever to all our wonderful patrons who are supporting us on the Patreon website. That is patreon.com/inglespodcast. You can see a list of the people in the show notes, but we'd like to say a special thanks to Bruno, as ever. He's our gold sponsor. Remember that he offers walking tours of Copenhagen and Denmark in English or in Spanish. And if you're interested in that, you can find out more at copenhagenwalkingtour.com.
Or if you happen to be in the Rio de Janeiro area of Brazil, why not take one of Bruno's walking tours of the favela? It's led by local guides, it's very safe, and it helps the community to improve their daily needs. For more information, Bruno's website address for Rio is favelawalkingtour.com.br. Also, we'd like to extend a warm welcome to our latest Patreon sponsor who has joined us this month. Hello, Mercedes Dominguez. Thank you for supporting us. What's next week, Reza?
Next week's episode is about years, dates, numbers, fractions, and percentages.
Yes, that may be revision for some of you, but we guarantee there will be some new things for you to learn if you listen to that episode next week. Thank you for listening this week. It's always a pleasure. Until then, until next week, it's goodbye from me.
And I'll see you in exactly 7 days.
The music in this podcast is by Pitts. The track is called See You Later. And a special thanks to Mercedes Dominguez, who has...
Hold on, just a sec. We haven't mentioned the favela yet.
Oh, did you pass that over to me? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
I just did the Copenhagen bit, and then I stopped.
Okay.
I wonder what they'd call it. They've already got a Breaking Bad. What about if we call it Breaking Wind?
We better explain that.
Yeah. Maybe I should go there. No.
Maybe not.
No. But hopefully this gets edited out. Well, let's see.